Back into the channel today. Today I have a little bit of an interesting video for you today, and it's just a question that I had gotten from a couple people, and something that I guess people that are new to the game, or maybe even people that are not familiar with the way Madden 19 changed things, have asked me. So basically what I'm getting into here is, do schemes matter in Madden 19? And what I mean by schemes is, if you go into the puzzle piece and say franchise mode, you can switch between different schemes offensively and defensively in terms of, you can run vertical power run, spread, run and shoot, all these different, multiple power runs, whatever it might be. And then like defensively, you run a base 3-4 or a multiple 3-4. You can run a Tampa 2 or a 4-6 defense. And essentially what I'm getting at here is a short, quick answer to your question. The answer is yes and no. So they don't matter in the way you think they would matter. So, a lot of people, or just on a general glance at it, you would look at this and say, okay, my team's going to play better if I have more people that fit the scheme. But that's, in my experience, not actually the case. And I don't know if, Madden intended for it to be this way, but just because I have 95% of my defensive players fitting the 3-4 defensive scheme doesn't mean that they're going to play better as a team. So I was just reading this thing down at the bottom here. Players with 3 overall points of the preferred player type will increase the scheme fit percentage. Players with a perfect scheme fit match will earn extra XP in weekly training. Now, that's essentially all the benefit is to having players in your specific scheme. It states it right there. The only benefit to having players in a specific scheme is that you get bonus XP whenever you do your weekly training. Now, I accidentally did my weekly training here in this franchise, but as I've shown you guys in multiple other videos, you get bonus XP each time a player's in a scheme. So if I did training for my offensive line, Marquise Pouncey and Ramon Foster might get the same amount of XP. But Ramon Foster is going to get an extra little boost because he is in the scheme fit and has that puzzle piece next to his name. If you look down there in the middle of the screen, he has that puzzle piece, so he gets a little bit of extra XP whenever you do weekly training. However, just because he's a scheme fit doesn't mean that he actually plays better in game. What you'll notice is that if your guy's an 82, he plays like an 82. If your guy's a 97, he plays like a 97. If Ben Roethlisberger's a 95, he's going to play a lot better than, Josh Dobbs, who's a 70. But just because Mason Rudolph is a 71 and fits the scheme doesn't mean he's going to play better necessarily than Josh Dobbs, who is a 70. Actually, in my experience, I have a lot of players that don't fit the scheme that play a lot better than players that do fit the scheme. So for example, I'm better with Josh Dobbs than I am with Mason Rudolph, and I'm better with Juju Smith-Schuster than some of these other receivers that technically fit into my scheme, like Dante Moncrief, Deontay Johnson, and James Washington. So I can go in and just show you some stats real quick and just prove that point. So if I go over to my stats on here, I can show you guys that specifically I'm doing the best with some players that don't necessarily fit into my scheme, and one of those great examples would be Juju Smith-Schuster. And the reason I have the most receiving yards with him is simply put because he's a higher overall. So, your scheme fit really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I know it's using the same word over and over again there, but just because I have a 92% scheme fit on offense doesn't mean that they're going to play better. And so essentially what I'm getting at here is that the only thing you want to use your scheme fit for is to determine what you want at a specific position. So let me detail that further. So defensively speaking, in terms of let's say my left outside linebacker, it shows that for the base 3-4 scheme, he's a power rusher. But let's say I want my left outside linebacker to be a speed rusher. The easiest way to develop that player is to find a scheme where that person is going to be a speed rusher, which I guess that doesn't exist because It would be your right outside linebacker. So right outside linebacker in the base 3-4 is a speed rusher. If I have a rookie that I want to develop as a speed rusher type of player, then I should set my scheme to match what I want that guy to be, and then put his XP points into that thing, and then eventually once he hits that scheme type, he will start to earn bonus XP as he moves through it. So I currently have everybody in this scheme type, and I'm fine with the schemes that they are playing in the base 3-4, but at left outside linebacker, which is TJ Watt, if I want TJ Watt to develop faster, then I'm going to have to develop his power rush abilities. But that might not necessarily be what you want to do with that specific player. And so I recommend don't base your players around a scheme, base your scheme around your players, because you're going to want to develop them to be the highest overall possible. And to do that, you're going to want to get the most XP bonus, but which is matching up your scheme. So I can go with this 3-4, and I'm going to maximize my experience gain, because these players are going to get bonuses from the weekly training. Now, the other thing is, what you can do is I can say, okay, well, I want to run a Tampa 2, though. I want my right defensive end to be a speed rusher, I want my D tackle to be a power rusher, and I want my right outside linebacker to be a pass coverage linebacker. So what you would then do, if you're saying you want to run a specific scheme, but you still want your players to maximize out on their XP gains, what you would then do is you'd have to go out and get guys that match that description and continue to develop them under that description. So there's two schools of thought that you can do here, but the main point that I'm trying to get across is that schemes only matter for development of players. If your guy, as it says down at the bottom there, really the only thing that matters is that last sentence, is that players with a perfect scheme fit match will earn extra XP in weekly training. That's all the bonus is for scheme fits. And so, me switching, like this, for example, me switching between a 3-4 or a multiple 3-4, that's going to make absolutely no difference. And you can see it switches a couple players. It switches the free safety from a zone to a hybrid, but it doesn't change the way that they play. And the weird thing about that is that each player can't be in two separate schemes, so that means that free safety, for whatever reason, is there's a starting free safety or a backup free safety counting towards one of those different things. So, that's saying, like, if I go over to my free safety, who would be Sean Davis, and I take a look at what scheme he's actually in, we'll be able to see and then judge this a little bit better. So Sean Davis is a hybrid type player. Steven Nelson is a man-to-man type of corner, but might fit a certain safety scheme. And then Cameron Sutton is a hybrid type of player. So, I'm not going to benefit anything by switching my scheme to the one that is a hybrid player, as much as that might be a common idea out there. He's just going to play like a 75 regardless. The only benefit to it that I want you guys to know about is that you're going to get bonus XP if I switched my scheme to a hybrid and I did training that was focused towards my free safety. So that's, in essence, all there is to scheme fits here in Madden. What you really want to do is you want to focus on your player ratings, and if you're not familiar with all the positions, then I would say, yeah, go ahead and try and fit your schemes the way that you want them to. You just got to keep in mind that all you're going to be doing is trying to do that so that you can develop your players better. So, if you're not familiar with the game and specific overalls and stuff like that, I don't target my players towards the scheme. I just say, okay, at my outside linebacker position, I want them to be able to pass rush and cover. And I don't care if it's a speed rusher or a power rusher or, a specific zone coverage or man coverage. Zone coverage is ideal for linebackers, but What I'm essentially saying is that I don't care if this guy's a speed rusher or a power rusher. I don't care if this guy's a speed rusher or a power rusher. I don't care if my free safety is a hybrid safety or a zone safety, and I don't care if Terrell Edmunds is, a run support safety or anything like that. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the stats that matter. Because the scheme isn't going to have any effect on how they play. In my experience, I've never had the scheme affect how they play. I don't know if that's coded into the game somehow, but it doesn't affect me whenever I play. The short and fast of it is I want Terrell Edmunds to be able to cover. So I develop his man and zone coverage stats, and you do that through your hybrid and zone schemes. And Sean Davis, I also want to be able to cover, so I upgrade his hybrid and zone schemes that will upgrade his coverage abilities. TJ Watt, I want to be able to cover, and I want him to be able to pass rush, so sometimes I'll upgrade his pass rushing abilities, sometimes I'll upgrade his zone coverage ability. Devin Bush, I've put all his XP so far into into coverage abilities, so his zone coverage is now up to an 83. I want him to be able to cover well. That doesn't necessarily fit the scheme of the team. As you can see, he doesn't have the puzzle piece over his head, but he at least has some of the overall points towards it, so I'm obviously earning some of the bonuses here. As you can see on defense, my middle linebacker at field general technically matches the scheme, but that really doesn't matter. It just matters that he's going to get bonus XP because of the scheme fits. Essentially speaking, I just care about his specific stats. I want him to be able to zone coverage, so I'm focusing on his zone coverage. I'm not focusing on specific schemes. So I apologize if that was a little bit long-winded and a little bit of a circular argument, but it's essentially just saying that schemes don't matter in the game for anything except for XP boosts. If you want your players to gain a little bit more XP, then try to match up your players with the schemes. That way they kind of fit into the schemes and they'll earn bonus XP. Like if I give XP to my corners, Joe Hayden and Justin Lane are both going to earn XP. So will Steven Nelson. But Mike Hilton won't earn that little bit of extra XP. And to be honest with you, in the grand scheme of things, that little bit of extra XP isn't that much. So you're not going to be missing out too much if you just completely forget about your schemes. The only real difference in schemes is, whether you run the difference between a 3-4, a Tampa 2, a 4-6, or a 4-3. All that really matters scheme-wise is what your base defense is. And that doesn't even matter because that's all determined by your playbook. So, I could set my scheme to a 4-3 defense, but if I run Mike Tomlin's defense, I'm still running a 3-4. So, the scheme doesn't have to match the playbook, and that just further gives you guys an idea of the fact that schemes literally do not matter in Madden 19. Why would I be able to run a base 4-3, but my Mike Tomlin playbook only has the 3-4 or the 4-4 in it? It just shows you guys that the scheme doesn't matter. All the scheme does at the bottom of the screen there, as I told you, is it serves a purpose to give you bonus XP. If your guys fit the scheme, you're going to get a little bit of extra bonus XP off your weekly training. That's all there is to it. So hopefully this helps you guys understand a little bit about schemes and the fact that they really just don't matter in Madden 19. I don't know if they plan on bringing them back to Madden 20. I hope not, because I think that they're kind of useless. I like the idea of the fact that you can't just target specific attributes when you upgrade a player. Like when I upgrade Devin Bush, for example, which I just did, when you upgrade Devin Bush, you can upgrade field general, you can upgrade pass rusher, or you can upgrade coverage linebacker. And so it allocates those points for you and kind of spreads them out, so you can't just focus on one area, which I kind of like that, but I don't like the whole thing, the whole way that schemes work, because they just mean nothing in the game. So guys, don't worry about your scheme fit. Just play the base defense that you want to play. If you want to play a 3-4, play a 3-4. If you want to play a 4-3, play a 4-3. Ignore the scheme. Just try and get one that matches the best to your players, because then then they'll earn a little bit of an extra XP off your weekly training. That's all there is to it. I hope this video helped you guys out, or I hope you got some useful information off it. If you want to have a discussion about it, leave your comments down in the comment section below. If you guys have seen an impact off of your guys fitting into a scheme when you play, let me know, but I've never seen an impact. I've been playing Madden 19 since it came out pretty much nonstop, and I've never seen an impact when my players are in a scheme or aren't in a scheme. So let me know down in the comment section if you're thinking something different or your experience is different. I'd love to hear from you guys to see what your experiences are. But other than that, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification for more. Make sure you're notified, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and keep a lookout for the next video. Have a good one, guys.